Hello and welcome to the 25th edition of Half Hour, a podcast starring me, John Paul Giudice, as your host. In today's episode, I will discuss chaos and being alone with María Cantor. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. So if you want to just start off and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing here in Prague, just kind of...
Okay, so my name is Ana María Cantor fully. I'm from Colombia and I'm 21 years old. And honestly, I feel like my story to arrive to Prague is quite long because I always knew that I wanted to study far away from home. Because of the experience and because everything is really international now. So when I was in UK doing my English, because I knew I needed to take it in other language probably because I didn't want to go to Spain or something like that. I search in so many places. I search in the US, which is super expensive. At least as an international student, it's super expensive. Then I got Australia. I tried, even at some point I was gonna end up in Russia. I saw a lot of places. And then right after COVID, I found Prague and UNIP, and I was like, damn, and then everything started to go super fast. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it's a good price too. I feel like I'm...
Damn, you're so right. I feel like because of my exchange, my exchange rate is kind of bad for the other currencies, then Prague is really good. In between of Europe, without having the euros, it's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were saying college in the U.S. is expensive, I can definitely vouch for that. I mean, I went to one of the cheaper state schools in my state, and it was still more expensive than this.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a wake-up call, and I'm glad I can come here and see the world. Not everyone gets that opportunity, and even back home, people were like, "Oh my God, what a great opportunity you have!" Blah blah blah. I try and treat this like I'm in Harvard sometimes. Really, that's how I feel. I feel very happy to be here.
And I feel you grow up so much when you live abroad. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes you to grow and to be okay, you have to wake up, be a grown up. You have to learn so many things. So I like it too.
Yeah, you have to kind of push yourself in this way,
And then you get a lot of contacts, I feel. While being here, I have met so many people from so many countries that have so many beliefs, religious beliefs, political beliefs. And then I think that opens your mindset to a lot of things. So I think that's really nice too.
Yeah, it really helps you listen and hear what other people are having to say and try and see it from their perspective, which I think is important. Definitely trying to understand where people are coming from. But if you want to if you want to jump into it, chaos and being alone. Mm-hmm. So where are we starting,
The thing is that I feel when people hear these words, they know okay, it's going to be super negative what she's going to say. But I feel since you're a teenager to your 20s, I feel my 20s at least, or now beginning of 20s, I feel the only constant thing that you're going to have is that you're going to be alone the majority of your life, and then you're gonna have a lot of chaos. I feel you don't have anything really organized at your 20s. You don't have your own place, your own work. You don't get your own financial resources. I feel it's just something that we have to learn to cope with, and I have kind of worked towards trying to learn how to do it since I'm I don't know, maybe 12, because I have been really independent. And I feel 50% of my problems have decreased since I have learned how to learn about being alone and learning to see the beauty in the chaos of my life, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I know that when my story about originally coming here is I don't know if I could have done this a few years ago in the sense living out here for more than just a semester abroad would have been kind of, it's new thing for especially me. I mean, most Americans, they don't really leave the country for that long. Americans are very we just travel somewhere, and then that's that.
And then you come back and
and it's okay, time to go home. But it's some of these people that study here are 17 and they're coming here from whichever countries, and I'm at 17, my parents would not have let me go, definitely not. And also, I don't know if I would have been at that point in my life to have that maturity
mature enough,
to go. And, some of these people are definitely, they're still growing up. Like, I can think of a few people that I know that are,
They're on their
still
path,
kids.
yeah.
Like, yeah, like they're growing up though. But like I came here on an exchange program when I was 19, and even that was like a huge step.
But it came like with UNIP or like other thing? Okay.
No, I came with UNIP. That was in spring 2020. So
Okay.
COVID kind of thoroughly ruined that one, and I had to fly home. And what eventually happened was we're talking about chaos. I dropped out of college for a year, and I worked a few different jobs, and that was just kind of a very chaotic point in my life. And I'll never forget when my buddy was like, "Do you ever think about going back? You can go back there, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, if they take my credits, I don't see why not. And then they took them. And then that was that. Like, I just, like, after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to just go to this school, And I think the quality of education here is it's different.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like back home, they might have a better, like, schedule in terms of, like, how the education's done. Like, I remember back home we had,
freshmen, then, like you have steps, I feel, no?
Yeah, and it was, like, a bit more, like, organized. But here, I really feel like there's a big, like, plus on free speech, but also, like, the ability to just kind of, like, live your own life and be an individual.
Yeah.
I feel like back home at some of the colleges that I toured, and I even went to, like, Bridgewater State, sometimes there it was very hard to just kind of, like, live your own life, Because if you're living in the dorm, you see everybody, and it's like there's a whole college culture going on, and, people get involved to varying degrees, and it was always just kind of interesting,
And then, like, how did you feel, like, in the most chaotic, like, part of your life? Do you think that you can take good things out of it?
I think so, yeah. I don't like the chaos, essentially, just because, like, I want to have, like a plan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working towards something, and when there's nothing, it's just very, like,
frustrating.
okay, yeah, like, what am I doing? Like, I remember I spent a lot of time, like, selling things on Facebook Marketplace that, like, I didn't use anymore. Like, I had some old Lego sets. Like, I had, like, just things, like, I could get rid of. I did a lot of hiking. Like, I worked a few different jobs. I met new friends. Like, it was a very interesting time in my life, but it was also, like...
Like, no order at all.
Yeah,
just, like, messy.
All I knew is that I needed to get back in the game. Like, I remember my aunt was like, if you don't go back to college, like, I'm going to kill you. Like, you need to go. Like, and I was like... She was like, you already started, you have to finish. And I was like, I'm going to finish, I promise.
But I don't know when.
Yeah,
then COVID was happening and you didn't, like, you really didn't know when. Like, the world was crazy.
Yeah, and it was like, who knows, and I didn't like the online classes. I'm not a fan. I think in person's a lot better. So I waited a year just to see what would happen. But I told myself and also my relatives, I'm like, I'm going to go back. Like, I have to. And then when I said I was coming back here, people were kind of like, that's good, that's bad, blah, blah, blah. By and large, I think I made the right choice, though, because this is something that not a lot of people get to do.
Yeah.
And I just feel very lucky to be here, even as an American at an American school in Prague. Like, still, I feel very lucky to be here. If you had told me when I graduated high school where I would be in 4 years...
You will never say
here. There's no way. There's no way I would have said, oh, Prague and the Czech Republic. Like, there's no way.
Okay, so you think without that chaos, like, in your life, do you think you would have ended up here?
Oh, definitely not.
Okay.
Well, even without COVID, no way. Like, no way without COVID.
You would be like...
I would have graduated.
In what year? You would be graduated right now. Okay.
I would have graduated from Bridgewater State in May. But the fact that I'm not, and I'm sitting here at this table... who knows if I'd even be doing a podcast right now? Like, I don't even know. Like,
I feel like that's my point with, like, chaos. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember I would always say, like, the most chaotic part of your life is always gonna be, like, kind of the most when the beauty is being created. I feel like you can really see that, like, it's like a balance. I feel at some point, you like an underlying balance that is really hard to see when you're in it, but then. I feel like out of, like, my hardest times, that's what makes me be the person, like, that has taken the best decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like that, like, those hard parts have actually made me take so many good decisions that I'm like, damn, without this, I would be like, no here.
Like, I felt like I got knocked down pretty bad when COVID happened. but also like I had to fly home for a funeral in between when I got to Prague and then when I left for COVID. So like right smack in the middle, there was a funeral I had to fly home for. So, I mean, I spent about 6 months trying to put all that together, and then it got wiped out in less than 6 weeks. So it's kind of like, yeah, it was really sucky. Like it was terrible. But, and then the kind of chaos that followed that we were just talking about, I agree. Like, I think that you can make something really important out of that. And more people need to kind of hear that and be like, times are tough right now, but you might create the best moment in your life or like some of the best achievements in that time, like, or you work towards it. Like, I remember coming back here, I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually going to get to go back to school out here. I worked for a long time, so I made some good money, like not
like savings, good savings.
Yeah, like I saved up a little bit. I could definitely use a job here for sure, but
same
like,
vibe.
I don't know, like it was good and sure, it was lonely too. I mean, like getting all that together and like trying to like work it out, and like I took so many trips to like state and local buildings. Like I had to get so many forms filled out and like stamped and apostilled and certified, and it was a lot of work.
Yeah, I feel like that's my point with it. That I feel we are in a our generation. It's super towards being positive all the time. Like they push you go to social media, like we use social media a lot, and you see that everyone kind of like has their life together, and then that everything is like you can do it. It's super positive. And my point is that it's okay that one day you wake up and you cannot do it. Like it's okay that one day you want to be, and I feel the most important thing you have to learn at your 20s is to be alone. Like learn how to be alone. I see so many people that I think they have, and me, I think I had so many problems out of not knowing how to be alone. And I feel that's just when you learn how to do it, it's just so nice, because you kind of like take time to understand why you're doing things, to understand like your dark side, because I feel everyone has their dark side. And I feel like it's super important to not like avoid the chaos, because if you avoid it and avoid it and avoid it, which I see like a lot of us, we do, I used to do that a lot, it's just gonna explode at some point, And I feel like that's it. Like I feel like just the chaos is a constant that you're gonna have in your life. And I feel that's so important.
Yeah, and like you need to, I think I said this in another podcast earlier, but without those bad moments, the good ones are not as important.
Yeah, totally.
Like I definitely can think of like the good and bad moments that I've had in my life, like some big ones that stick out to me, and they complement each other in a very like yin yang type of way.
Yeah.
And I think you're right when people don't focus on it anymore, and you see the best aspects of people's lives without
and everything
all the
is
garbage.
Perfect, and there are no problems. I feel like that's so.
Yeah, like part of me wonders. Imagine if everybody put a picture of their room in the morning on their story. You know what I mean? Like how messed up would everyone's room be? I bet you some people would have really well organized rooms.
Yeah.
But I bet you the majority of people have some McDonald's everywhere and stuff like that.
And I feel like 20s are so messy. Like I feel everyone expects you, or at least I don't know how your family is, like my family back home, they expect me to have everything figured out right now. They're like, oh my God, yeah, and where's your job, and where is your relationship, and where is your friends, and how is your place, did you clean? Like you just have this constant pressure to like know what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. You need to know what you're gonna do in your 30s, in your 40s, in your, like, it's crazy. I feel the pressure that we, and I feel it's just sometimes okay to breathe and be like, okay, I don't think I know right now what I'm doing with my life. Like I'm freestyling, and that's okay. I feel. And
that's part of becoming who you're gonna be. Like that's like a huge piece of it. Like I think definitely I'm with you there when you say you need to be comfortable with being alone. Like being alone, it kind of sucks depending on what's going on. But I've flown here multiple times now by myself over the Atlantic Ocean, coming here to Prague, like
the time difference.
Yeah, and I always and I think about also like all my friends back home that I miss, of course, and all the friends I've met here, but also like think about all those people that they're in the military or like they're they're deployed somewhere, they're like traveling somewhere where there's not a lot of service, and the no one speaks your language, and it's like very off the grid, you know, like that's, I look up to people like that, you know, all the world's best adventurers did things like that and wrote about it and have all these stories. Like the first person to summit Everest, he was with Nepalese Sherpa as well. So this guy and the Sherpa, they went up the mountain together and they got to the top and they were the first people to get there. And to think about the sense of achievement he must have had, or both of these people must have had.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's one of the loneliest places in the world. Like, you know, you climb up this mountain and it's like you're in the middle of nowhere.
And if you die, no one is gonna see you. I feel like, I don't know if you have had that feeling, but I have had that feeling like when I started to be alone, when I live in UK. I used to travel like I live in a really boring area. I never live in London, Liverpool, that was boring, like where people went to retire.
Mm-hmm.
So in the weekends I was like, okay, I need to, you know, go to other place. And I feel, and then I don't know if people have had this their perception, but like sometimes I would be here chilling by my own, and I would be like, if I die right now, no one will see it. You know, it will take like some weeks maybe, or like some days for people to know it. And I felt as like being by yourself and like being an adult and knowing that no one is taking care of you, and now you take care of yourself, is super scary. I feel super scary.
And like as another example, like my friend and I, we climb a lot of mountains back home. It's not just him and I, like other people come sometimes, but a lot of it's just him and me, because we just like doing that. They have this challenge called the 48 4,000 footers. There's 48 mountains in New Hampshire that are like 4,000 feet or higher. And like when you complete all of them, you get like, you can like send in like a application or something, and they recognize you, like this organization. But anyway, like I did one of these mountains on my own, and it was a day trip. I drive up there, I get to the parking lot, and I just hop out the car and go.
So you did it in the night?
No, I did it during the day. I went up there in the early morning though, because at night it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It gets really dark. Like I was coming off the mountain and it was getting dark out. And the mountainside faced east. And I feel
nature is scary.
Yeah.
You know, it's like powerful, but powerful scary. Like, damn.
Like you have no control, you know?
No control, like legit, no control.
I was going to say, like, I know I was alone the whole time on this hike. Like I bumped into like maybe 2 or 3 other people because like they were doing a trail. But I didn't feel alone. Like I felt...
Like you felt good with yourself.
Yeah, like nature almost felt like another person with me.
Nice.
Like in a very like surreal way, you know.
I get it.
I got to the top. I got over the tree line, and you know the birds were singing, and like the sun was out. And you were like,
"Oh my god, nature!"
Yeah, it was great.
You were really vibing, like you were so.
Yeah, I had music going. Like I had a podcast going. For some reason, I had service on the top of the mountain, so I put some Joe Rogan on and like listened to him talk about, I think, monkeys with this other guy.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, but it was kind of like, okay, it's passing the time. I'm hiking. But yeah, honestly, like I got yelled at after. I mean, my family was kind of like, why did you go alone? You shouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're right. But, you know, and there's this. I didn't feel unsafe, and I knew where I was going, and I've done this a million times before, so I didn't feel kind of...
Like the pressure?
Yeah, I didn't feel it at all. Like, I remember, like, this mountain name was called Mount Isolation. And that's why I did this one by myself, because of the name. Yeah, it was a long trail. It was a long day.
I feel like that's my point, that you need to arrive to the point in your life, because I didn't have it for a long time, where you can find peace with you. Like right now, I had a long time where I could never be by my own. You know, like if I was by my own, I needed to take my phone, I needed to read something, I needed to talk with someone. Like I couldn't be by my own. And I feel now, then when you kind of like yourself, then sometimes I'm walking by my own, and I'm like, I tell a joke to myself, and I'm like, damn, I'm so funny, you know, like it may sound so stupid, but then
I like making myself laugh.
Yeah, I'm like, I make myself laugh, and I'm like, damn, I'm so fucking funny, and then I'm laughing like an asshole just alone, but I'm like, that's so magic when I can like wake up and then being alone in another country with like, when I arrived here, I didn't have any friends, nothing. And being like, know that I have me and I don't hate me, you see, like I feel like we grow up kind of hating ourselves in a lot of senses, And I feel knowing that you can find peace with you. I love because I have a therapist, which I love therapy, like therapy's a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And my therapist told me that you have to work that much on yourself that when you're by your own in other place, like in, I don't know, India, Bali, Colombia, USA, you know that you are your safe place. Like you don't really feel threatened because you're your own safe place. And I was like, damn, that's
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like I remember I kind of, I guess, self-taught myself that a lot, especially during COVID. Like I was with my friends and I was always talking about how like, you know, we can't stay down like this forever. Like we have to get back up. Like life is not about being pushed down like this,
Yeah.
you know? Like I really felt like everything got ripped away, like especially like all of it, you know, with all of it working and like trying to like get my life in this direction. But sometimes something that's really bad might even turn out better for you like later down
For
the
sure.
line. Great
Yeah, for
example is
sure.
me coming to this college. Like I wouldn't be able to do this if COVID didn't happen. Like there's no way. This was meant to be a 1 semester experience. Like just come,
Crazy.
finish your classes, and then come home. But now it's a multi-year expedition kind of, and I feel like I've learned more here than I could have ever learned at any
Yeah.
run-of-the-mill American university, just because like, okay, I'm learning about all these cultures from around the world. In America, there's a big like, oh, we have to you have to understand diversity and like understand cultures more. And while that's important, you can't get that in these run-of-the-mill schools. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you're not going to get that. It's almost superficial.
Yeah, like the
So,
real thing.
This is the real thing. Like
Exactly.
back home, it's so not. So I think that we should encourage people to go abroad more and like kind of like
Sure.
feel comfortable being alone in this way because it's good for you. And in that chaos with the
Yeah,
in
for
that
sure.
time, like it ended up better for me. So
And I feel like that makes you, for example, like I feel like I had a really bad depression moment in my life when I was like, I don't know, like 14, 15. And I feel like I had so much chaos with my parents. Like, why did this happen? Like, we let you alone and all of that. And I feel like out of it, my relationship with my parents is so good. And if people ask me why is that, is because of my hardest time in life, they were there. Like, we needed to learn. Like, I feel like in your more chaotic moment in your life, if you don't learn from it, like the world is gonna push you to learn, you know? Like if you don't want to learn in a good way, the world is gonna push you, and you don't really want that. So in order to not be pushed, you need to be by your own. And then I feel it's super important to wake up and be like, okay, what do I believe? Why do I believe what I believe? You know, like why do I believe that there is a God? Like all of those things. And I feel like just like asking questions to yourself is so good.
yeah, and like I remember, you know, many times, especially I spent a lot of time when I was younger by myself, just like for example,
Do you have brothers?
Yeah, I have a brother who's a year and a half older than
Okay.
me. So he's actually very close in age. And when we were younger, we would always fight and like not get along. But I never saw it as like I can do without this person. You know, like,
Okay,
he's my
okay.
brother. You know what I mean? Like it's like we can disagree all day.
But he's your brother.
Yeah, but he's still my brother. Like you know. But I remember distinctly we used to have a summer cottage on a lake in New Hampshire. And it was at this park, and it was a trailer park. It was a trailer park where you have like your units there, and then you have your boat on the property, and you tow it down to the docking ramp, and you get on the boat and you go.
That's so nice.
And yeah, my father loved that. My mother loved it. And they would always hang out with their friends there. But there weren't a lot of kids like my age. Like I was like 12,
Okay.
and like many years on either side, we used to go up. We had that place for like, I think a decade, from when I was 5 to like 15.
Okay.
But some of the most memorable times are when I was a little older. But a lot of the kids were either like, 18, 20, like college age, or like 5.
And
I was
that
in the
that's
middle.
a big difference if you ask me.
Yeah, of course. Like I can't hang out with 20-year-olds when I'm 12 years old. Like that's kind of like, I did that too, like a little bit, but it like.
But I think it's nice too, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I was living abroad, like the first time, I told you like it was like the place where people went to retired, and I was learning English, so I was with people like of 30s, 40s, and like you just speak with them, and you're like, damn, I really like to speak with like at the maybe 2 or 3 years in my life, it was way easier for me to speak with someone, an adult, than to speak with people from my age.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
Actually.
I feel our age is so hard to speak with. There are so many like little rules that you have to know, and like it's strange. I feel.
I don't like it just because like kind of building off what you were saying. Like I distinctly remember like I would talk to a lot of old people. Like like I lived with my grandparents, and they would like we would talk all the time. Like I'd see them every day. And like my father's friends I would talk to, like when we used to go up New Hampshire. But a lot of the time I was just riding my bike like by myself. I'd listen to music or maybe not at all, and I'd just be in thought. I'd just be thinking about things.
And I feel, what, like linking it with grandparents and all that generation, I feel another thing that for me at least is still super hard is learn how to be bored.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have seen like elderly people here, at least in Prague a lot. They go in the bus, like 20 minutes ride bus, and they are here just looking outside. And,
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's so hard to just sit 20 minutes and be like without no stimulation. Like I feel it's so hard for our generation to do that.
One thing that's a little strange with me is that I don't have like a real phone plan. I have like a Tesco like plan.
Okay,
but it's like an emergency number.
Okay.
But I usually just hop on all the Wi-Fi networks. But like with what you're saying, like I do that like on the bus because like I can't use any social media. But it's like, okay, like there are many situations where like I should really have a data plan, like I really should, and I'm trying
like emergency.
I'm trying to cut corners and save money, right? That's exactly what I'm doing. Like I'm not even gonna be like clouded about it, but on the other hand, I feel more free. Like I feel like I don't have to look at my phone all the time. Like sometimes people are yelling at me like, "Bro, I texted you 2 hours ago. Where have you been?" And I was like, "Oh, I was hiking. I was out getting groceries, and then I bumped into my friend." Like I was talking about being bored for a second. I was at UNIP for a little while, and then I went to Ipe to get food, but I didn't really know what I wanted, so I was just kind of like standing there with my headphones on, like walking around trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then I bumped into somebody from school, and then that person was getting on their tram, and I bumped into another person, and it was just kind of like very, very spur of the moment.
And like spontaneous, yeah.
And that's rare. And also like I heard that, maybe it was in another podcast, or I heard it somewhere that when you spend time alone, especially when you're younger, it's like really good for you.
It's
like
stimulating, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's good for your brain. It's good for like kind of being a little more like solid and well put together, well-rounded.
You know what I feel like? I want to do this challenge, and I think when I will go back home, because I will go back home for Christmas, there is going like legit leaving your phone for one day, going out. I imagine it here, and I'm like, I need my phone to know what like public transport I'm taking. I need my phone to like, I don't know, call my parents in case I have an emergency, but I really want to go out and not have my phone for anything. And I just feel like 24 hours. And same, I wanted to do like a challenge where it's like 24 hours you by your own, without any other like thing that distracts you. I feel that for me is I think it would be hard. I'm sure it would be hard.
It's a good thing. Like even to this day, what I usually do is if I'm at somebody's apartment and I'm leaving, I will look at like the trams on my phone. And then when I leave, it's still there. Like I don't need to refresh it. Like it's just kind of like there. And then I get to the tram stop, and then I'll look at the sign and try and cross-reference it, and then get on the tram from there. But it's almost like very good for you. It teaches you to be more independent. But also getting back to what you were saying about these older people looking out the window, like they were doing that like for decades,
Exactly.
So it's like people in the past, I feel like may have been a little more individualistic in this way. And we need to, like the internet really is a double-edged sword like this, and
for sure. You need to put a limit to it, I feel.
Yeah,
and it's hard to know where to put the limit.
It's just some of these younger people are really enveloped by it. Like if you took their phone away, they would know what to do. Like they would be
like, oh my God, what is a mountain? What is, and I feel it is like that. Like I feel, those people, I love little kids that they can get, they see something little, they start making something fun, and I'm like, damn, I feel like that's one thing that I feel I need to work on, refreshing, and a lot of people, we need to like, we just get, and I feel like at some point I just do it out of like being used to it. I just take my phone and I don't even know, I didn't get any message, I didn't get anything, I just took my phone
I don't like not having it in my pocket,
Okay.
I don't like it. It's on like if I leave it somewhere, I'm always like that. Like where is it? You know.
So, like it's part of it, and I heard something that is like an extension of you.
Yeah,
like to us is like an extension of us, and I was like, damn, it is. Like a big half of my brain, my family, my super, like everything is in my phone. It's so crazy. I feel that's so crazy.
My mom used to say that her father would say that someday it's going to be like on the watch and it's going to come up. Like in Star Wars,
I will totally believe that, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's what I'm telling. And for me, obviously, it's harder because my parents are in Colombia, and Colombian parents will call you every day. We call every day.
Yeah.
My mom can call me 3 times a week, and I'm an only child, so they need me, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm like, damn, like, it's crazy how important. But yeah, my point is that being alone and like leaving your house is super important, at least in your 20s. I feel like everyone before, you know, leaving their parents, if they can, obviously, if like leaving your parents and then going to with your couple, you should have a little period where you can live by your own or like stay by your own, because that's so, like, you learn so much from it.
Yeah, it's really true.
Or like going to the cinema alone, or going for a trip alone. Like, let's, oh my God, I want to go somewhere. No one wants to go, because I feel like at the beginning I will get stopped a lot by it. Like, oh my God, no one will come with me, and I will be like, okay, I'm just living.
Yeah,
I will do it by my own. And I feel it's amazing to be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but we're kind of getting towards the end here. If you want to leave a last message.
I only wanted to ask, like, I have a lot of like books and things that talk about this, but I feel like one of my favorite movies, that is Collateral Beauty. I don't know if you have seen it, like with Will Smith. That is so good.
Collateral Beauty.
Collateral Beauty. I think it's like that.
Is that the one where he's like down on his luck and he has a kid and like he like is trying to get a job?
No. That's the Way to Happiness or something like that.
Okay.
Anyways, my point is that I love the message of like, when something bad happens, like, make sure that you are able to see the collateral beauty. And I feel that's so beautiful. And I feel that that's so important.
That's a good lesson.
You know, like, try to see the beauty in the hardest times and in your hardest periods of life, that we will have way more, like, and it's gonna be there. So yeah.
There it is, everybody. Okay. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Anytime.
It was amazing. Thank
Guys,
you.
we should have some more coming out, and cheers. See you later.
Bye.